It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step process. You're never gonna look cool getting into a Lamborghini, but the car is kind of cool enough for you. So you join me inside the cabin of the 2020 Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Roadster. This car is a swan song for Lamborghini. It's the end of the naturally aspirated V12 without any help whatsoever from forced induction or electrification. No assistance. You just have this 6.5 liter NA V12 screaming at you and working its butt off through a 7-speed single clutch automatic. Probably also the end of the single clutch automated manual for Lamborghini. They're going to go to a dual clutch system in this car or a multi-clutch system or something, but not this. And the design, well, that's going to just get more ridiculous with Lamborghini, and the part sharing with Volkswagen vehicles, with Audis, that's going to get more ridiculous. But the car as it sits is special. It's a special moment in time. And today we're going to see all there is to see with the Aventador SVJ Roadster. I'm going to drive it and help you decide whether it's the poster car of your dreams or maybe you should be looking elsewhere. That's today. And there it is. The 2020 Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Roadster. One of only 800 being produced. The coupe, they're making 900 of those, but this Roadster, 800. And this one is painted a very special Verde Scandal, Italian for green scandal. And it's $14,800 to paint your car this color. But what's an extra 15 grand when you're spending upwards of $573,000 for a car? I love it. I think this paint job, it's really grown on me. At first I was like, oh, it's too much. It's gonna burn my corneas. But now I'm like, yeah, SVJ, you want to stand out? It's already a standout car. Why not paint it a standout paint job? So wild. Now, before I get into the details of this exterior walk around, a couple things. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Just hit that button right now and turn on the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the daily uploads I have for you. We've got POV drives, including one coming up for this car right here. If it hasn't already been uploaded, can't keep track of the schedule. We've got POV night drives, walk-arounds, if I've already said that, sorry, reviews like this one right here, and live Q&As. Answer all of your questions in a live video format. And if you don't want to hear me talking, go ahead and check those videos out. They're for the folks who just want to listen to the car, let the car do all the talking. And I completely understand that. And if you want to support the channel, you've been a subscriber for a while, and you like what I'm doing, I would love it if you became a patron. We've got a Patreon account, or if you bought a t-shirt. I'd really appreciate that. All right, with those aside, let's get into this car. So, I already mentioned that it's rare in terms of its production. And in the intro, I talked about how this is the swan song for the Aventador. Check out this plate showing you 1 of 800. But why is the SVJ special? Beyond just being the last hurrah for the Aventador. Well, the coupe model currently holds, as of the production of this video, the lap record around the Nürburgring, which is arguably the most challenging road course on the planet. It's the proving grounds for so many of these ultra high performance vehicles. And so this being the Roadster version of that coupe car that holds that lap record, it has all of the same hardware, but you get to put the top down and hear that NA V12 all the better. So it's a really special car. And who knows what the successor to the Aventador is going to look like, but you can't be mad at the looks of this car. It's so out of this world. And let's break it down piece by piece. So up here at the front, we've got Lamborghini's signature, look like laser beam LED daytime running lights. with LED headlights beyond those. These are your turn signals in here. Down here we've got airflow manipulation. So we've got these fins pushing air out around the tires and adding downforce to the front end. We've got carbon fiber gloss pieces along the front, and then this jutting out front splitter painted gloss black. Now we can talk about the ALA on that. ALA stands for Aerodinamica Lamborghini Attiva, and it's a very special airflow manipulation system that Lamborghini has patented, and it's a large part of why the Aventador SVJ holds the lap record around the Nürburgring, and why the Huracan Performante before this car held the lap record, because it's such a sophisticated system. It's simple in ways of thinking about it, but the way that they developed it meant some serious minds came together and jammed and came up with this. So the way it works is that there are active channels along the side of the car that either open or close to allow air to pass over the vehicle or to trap air. The reason for doing so is if you're trying to be achieving a top speed or acceleration, you don't want drag on the car. So things like that giant wing in the back, which creates drag, you don't want it to be active while you're accelerating. So it opens up the channels and lets the air flow all the way cleanly over the car and reduces that drag. There's even a system that will push up air to counteract the force of the wing. So it'll push up the air over the wing instead of letting the air get caught over the wing. Then, in the other circumstance where you want to add downforce to the car, give you grip, it will close the channels and trap the air on the left and right side of the car. And it's so sophisticated that it can just open up channels just on the right side or just on the left side of the car. And to do so means trapping air, for example, on the right side, and as you're turning right, it adds downforce to the side, makes the left side easier to rotate, and basically decreases your needed turning radius in the car. So reduces the effort to turn the car in a corner. Is that not cool? I think it's so cool. I nerded out when they introduced this system to me. I was at the press launch of the Huracan Performante in Italy, and they introduced this system, and I was just blown away because of its, yes, simplicity, but also just how no one had thought of this before, and Lamborghini are the ones that brought it to life. So that's the ALA system, and this is the first time that we're seeing ALA on an Aventador. It's the second generation of the ALA system. So until now, it was exclusive to that Huracan Performante. Now we've got it on the Aventador SVJ, and look what happens. It set the lap record at the Nürburgring. So that's how the system works. You can see all of the ducts and grooves in this car. Gloss carbon fiber bits all over the place. And then this one is equipped with some optional wheels. You got 20-inch up front, 21s in the rear. And they are wrapped in huge tires. 255 front, but 355 at the rear. And it's Pirelli P0 Corsa rubber, so very sticky rubber. Summer performance tires. Some of the best you can buy. And I love the intricacy of the wheel designs. And that gloss black. You've got the Lamborghini bull in the center caps. Look at these center caps. They look like weapons. You're gonna go cut the tires of some other car. Also here you can see the standard carbon ceramic brakes, drilled for ventilation, and they're clamped by 6-piston front, 4-piston rear brake calipers. These are 15.7-inch rotors up front and 15.4-inch rotors in the rear. Or, sorry, 15-inch, straight up 15-inch rotors in the rear, my mistake. But truly massive brakes. Yet another reason why this car can do the things that it can is the incredible stopping power. And it has a 4-wheel steering system, so the rear wheels can pivot some small number of degrees, one side or the other, either to decrease the turning radius at low speeds or at high speeds to turn into the corner and effectively shorten the wheelbase of the car. and make it handle with more stability. Really cool stuff. You can see your Italian flag on these massive intakes. I'm just going to push the phone all the way to the inside so you can just see how far they stick out. Actually, this is the best angle to do that. Look at that. There's my hand and perspective. Let's get it right there. My goodness. So dramatic. But you do have a huge engine to cool. So this is bringing in air to that NA V12 right over the top. I'll talk more about it during the driving impressions. More ducting in, providing downforce. That SVJ badge on the back, looking super cool. Then we get to this wing back here. It's a fixed rear wing, so it doesn't move, but because of the ALA system, it can manipulate the air around the wing, so it doesn't have to move. A lot of automakers are making the wing itself move. Lamborghini was like, oh, that's too complicated. We're just going to leave that there. This actually decreases weight by not having mechanisms in the wing to make it move, so they can decrease weight and just use the air instead. You've got this carbon fiber surround for the wing. Doesn't this look jet fighter-like right here? Look at that. Looks like a runway, like blast off that direction. I wish we had a better view of the engine, but you need keys to open up each of these little doors, and I can't touch this because it's been in the sun. It's so hot. But you get keys and you open up each of these doors and the whole hatch comes up. I don't have those keys, so we're just gonna have to look at it from in here. There's not a ton to look at, unfortunately. You can see the V12 badging. You can see a bronze-ish plating. And that's about it. You can see the cylinder count on there. 112, 49, 211, 67, 310, 58. It's the firing order. This is just so cool. So cool, even though you can't see the engine. Then we get to the rear. Things get even more absurd. So you got your Lamborghini badge there. You've got the iPhone not able to pick up on the LEDs back here. Okay, you can kind of see it there. But they're these kind of like tri-X things. It's not a real thing. That are geometric shapes that kind of point this direction, and they illuminate in that direction with the turn signal. The big duct of pulling air out of the back. This carbon fiber diffuser, which is huge. It's so big. You can actually see how wide those rear tires are from back here. Giant contact patches, but this diffuser is massive, and it sticks out so far. So far. Complete with cannons for exhaust pipes. Straight out of the center with the bronze inlets. These titanium exhausts are huge. And no fakeness here. There's a slightly smaller diameter to the pipe inside, but I mean, come on. These things are huge. I've never seen exhaust like this. It really looks like you're going to fire at foes from behind. Just absurd. And I could spend another hour dissecting this exterior, but I will refrain and get on towards the interior and driving impressions. But I think you've seen enough. And I think you would admit that if you saw this on the road, you would pretty much drop your jaw and have to catch your breath. The SVJ Roadster is no joke. Before I move on though, one last and important thing. You notice that the roof panels are off. This is a T-top design, unlike a full-on convertible, so there's no soft or hard top convertible stowed anywhere because this is all engine. So that means that you have to take off these roof panels, of which there are two. And now I'm going to show you with a cutaway how you do that. And one quick note, each of those roof panels weighs 13 pounds because they're made of carbon fiber. That's nothing. But the whole Roadster weighs an extra 110 pounds more than the coupe because they'd increase the structural reinforcement such that if you were to roll over in this car, which would be impressive, don't recommend it. If you were to roll over, you would be okay, you would survive. So that's where the extra weight goes in. But the roof panels themselves, 13 pounds apiece. And they are stowed in the front trunk, which you can get to. Pull in this bar, lifting up this tab, and you can see the carbon fiber panels. It's pretty much all you can fit in here, by the way. You can store maybe a puffy jacket apart from these panels, but yeah, both fit in there, and both are put in with a very specific order. But when they're out, you've got a little front trunk, not much space. And the one downside to panels, as opposed to a mechanism that's stored within the car that you can power or even manually open and close, is that if it starts raining, like it did on me the other day in my POV night drive, you'll see that, then you're gonna have to get out of the car and go put on each of the individual panels. You can't just sit in your car and do it. So better look at the weather before you start going. One last look from the rear angle, my favorite angle. Oh, look at that. So mean. Okay, let's go to the interior. And on our way in, we can note the door handles beneath the character line lip. And there's a tab in here, so you press up on the tab to open the door. But I will note as well that to unlock the car, you can't just have your key in your pocket with the smart access. You have to unlock the car on the key fob itself. But you press up on the tab and rise. That scissor door, the signature trait of the Lamborghini Aventador. Also on our way in, we can note this carbon fiber sill that is one of the many options on this particular Aventador SVJ Roadster. We can also note the carbon fiber chassis. So the exposed carbon fiber here is beautiful and has a matte finish to it. Absolutely gorgeous. Runs all the way up. And then more carbon fiber, this time gloss finish on it in the doors. Looks so cool when you're in the cabin. You can see the Verde Scandal grab handle. This is how you close the doors from inside. You just reach up and grab that and pull down. Lock and unlock mirrors, they do fold in, which is great when you're getting into a tight garage space. And then if you do need to transport your Aventador, hopefully not because of an accident, then these buttons prime it for that. And just look at this Verde Scandal interior trim to match the exterior paint. Love that it's the exact color. It's not close, it's the exact. Gorgeous stitch work on top of the seat. This is leather, and then this is Alcantara. You've got the Lamborghini crest stitched into the seat headrests. And this is a look at the carbon fiber seats. They're single pieces of carbon fiber that make up the sport bucket. Fantastic. And you can't fold them because it's a single piece of carbon fiber. The only way to slide the seat forward is through a bar at the front base of the seat. I'll show you that in a second, but you can see them fixed to the bottom, to these rails. And you see the textured surface for your feet to grip right on top of the carbon fiber base. So I mean, you're sitting on the ground. You are sitting on the base of the car. And you've got a dead plate right over there. This is how you open up the frunk. And then metal pedals for accelerator and brake. That's how you adjust the steering wheel No automatic adjustment. You have to pull and it will go up and down or telescope. Got some controls over here, automatic headlights. Basically all your lighting adjustments are over here. Leather wrapping mixed with Alcantara, that Verde Scandal green piping, and then carbon fiber and gloss to match the doors. More of that cross stitching with the carbon fiber, or sorry, with the Alcantara on the headliner, or sorry, the dashboard. Lots of this Verde Scandal leather across the dash and along the center stack. They didn't just like throw leather in there. They really designed the shapes to be visually pleasing, eye-catching. Got Alcantara on the back here with more of that piping in green. One cup holder, 12-volt socket. Then there's how you update your navigation. You can also put an SD card. And on the other side is a slot for a single USB port. It's the only way you're going to charge your phone or connect it to the infotainment. It's that one USB port. All right, with that, let's hop on in. And to do so, I rest my butt on the chassis and then scoot it over. It's the only way I've been able to get in somewhat smoothly. Otherwise, you just look like a buffoon. But that's okay. Your car is so awesome, no one's going to pay any attention. This stitching, I just love the cross stitch all the way from the border of the seat to the front and then tucked up under. And everything is really high quality Alcantara or leather or that carbon fiber. You do have some plastics like these pieces in the steering wheel, but who cares? Anything you're going to interact with is going to feel good. This is funny. So like the Huracan has the turn signal controls embedded within the steering wheel itself, but the Aventador, being older, has an actual stock. So it has a stock for your turn signal, and it has a stock for your wipers. This is the optional Mufu steering wheel. It's like $1,500 or so, and it is wonderful. Love the carve outs for 9 and 3, just the right thickness. That cross stitch all along the inner border. And then you have your center mark at 12 in Verde Scandal leather. This is like a textured plastic thing. It's not leather. It's not that cheap. Got your Lamborghini crest front and center. Your Raging Bull in gold. This gloss black stuff will most likely scratch. I wish that was kind of a metal or something. And you've got some more down here. This is definitely going to scratch or smudge at the very least. And then you've got your huge paddles fixed to the steering column, not to the wheel. But so you'll always have a place to grab because they're so large. And I love the ornate design of them as well, the geometric shapes. Super neat. And then over here you've got this window control. Let me turn on the car now. Hopefully it won't be so loud that you won't be able to hear me. Of course, you have your ignition switch, just like a fighter jet. So cool. That never gets old. Getting into the car and like jamming that up and hitting the start stop button. Sometimes it takes a second. All right, so we saw the digital instrument cluster there light up. And then we've got secondary gauges over here for your oil temperature and oil level. And then off to the right, your remaining fuel level, whether you've got a door open or not. I'm going to close the door now, show you how that looks. And then we'll head back to these gauges. You can see the fuel gauge off to the right. This car gets atrocious fuel economy. So bad. I've already filled it up and it's already down to half, and I've done, I don't know, maybe 70, 80 miles. EPA rates it at 9 city, 15 highway, 11 combined. So bad. but you don't care, and you've got the money for as much fuel as there are reserves on the planet if you can buy this car. So we are in Strata mode, as you can see, but unlike the Huracan, the instrument cluster doesn't change as you go through the different drive modes. So we've got the drive modes over here: Strata, Sport, Corsa, and Ego. So if I go over to Sport, all it does is change the color of the gear indicator and the mode off to the right. Corsa is going to be red. Ego is also going to be red, depending on your setup. I set it up to be Corsa Powertrain. Ego is your individual mode, so you can adjust the powertrain, the suspension, and the steering independently. And then you go back to Strata, and it's just white. So those are the only things that change on the instrument cluster, and modern supercars have much. Even Lamborghini's own Huracan has more that is happening when you change that up. So that's the only bummer about the instrument cluster, but it's nice and big, and it, you know, seeing the 8,500 RPM red line is so cool. And then here is where you can watch the Aerodynamica Lamborghini Attiva system in action. So it'll show you when the air is passing over, when it's applying downforce. Off to the left, you've got your G meter over there. Some cool active things going on, but the display itself doesn't change visually. And let's just work our way across the dashboard. More of that cross stitch on the Alcantara upper dash. So nice. Love Alcantara. Oh, and this was the, didn't get to this, this is the back window here, so we can see it go down and come up. Oh, there it goes. It's down now. And it's up. That's a quick little window. Bam, that's like a second and a half, if that. But that's how you control the window, is that one switch there, and then these side windows are controlled by these switches here. Now while we're looking at the window, check this out. This is like a cool cut to the glass. Hopefully it will frame this, but there we go. So like it looks like the glass has an edge, but on the inside you can't really feel it, and on the outside you can't really feel it. It's just a cool look, like just a razor sharp edge on the window. Quick aside, but as we put the window down, see how that looks. Goes down pretty quick, and it doesn't like hover with a little sliver of window up. It goes all the way down, so you can rock your arm out because you're awesome. You got an Aventador SVJ, and then up. Right side, same deal. One push down, and then hold to go up. And here's a good look at visibility right now. Okay, so this is me at 6 feet tall. This is about where my eyes are. That is my visibility right there. It is awful. And if I sit all the way up, then my eyes are actually looking into the crossbar. So I have to kind of shrink myself down, scooch my butt forward, which limits my lumbar support from these seats to actually see anything. And if I look over my right shoulder, that's all I see. I can't see anything around there on either side. So it's a huge blind spot right here. So bad. So you have to ask your passenger, hopefully you have one, and if you don't, you will in 5 seconds, because you pull up in one of these and everyone's going to want to hop in. You ask your passenger to look over their shoulder and see if anyone's coming, but you are in a neon green car, so hopefully they're seeing you before you see them. And here's the view out the back. It's a little one. That's your rear view mirror there. It's a little view. It's not the best, not the worst. And then we've got our infotainment here. Oh man, this is where the Aventador is definitely showing its age. In addition to, you know, the Huracan having better gauge clusters, the Huracan's infotainment now with a tablet style thing is so much better than this. This is really outdated. No Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto, no Sirius XM radio, at least not equipped on this model here. And to control it, it's not a touchscreen. You have to use these controls down here. So you've got buttons for things like navigation, and then you've got the quadrants like an old Audi system. Coincidence? I think not. You know, Volkswagen and Audi owning Lamborghini. But yeah, so you've got your navigation. It doesn't look that bad. It looks pretty bad. But then you click this wheel to zoom out, zoom in. And then you've got your other quadrants down here. So if you need to get... That's what she says. Setup, car. Here's where you can go in and adjust your ego mode, your individual mode. Click on that, And then you can adjust the powertrain. So you want that to be in Corsa. That's what I want to do. Steering, I'll have that be in Sport perhaps. And then suspension, I'm going to keep that in Strada because the suspension in Strada isn't bad. So you got these controls. It's just all like physical buttons, and they make nice clicky noises, and I like the tactile nature of that. But yeah, it's just, that's clunky at best, and the infotainment just really doesn't have much going for it. You can go to radio, and you can see FM tuning. But, you know, you trying to do anything more than that is pretty funny. Got some presets, actual tuning. FM, AM, oh, I was wrong. It does have Sirius XM radio. I didn't even spot this before. So it has Sirius XM. Incredible. That's as sophisticated as it gets. No HD radio. Telephone name? What is name? Oh, I guess a directory for your smartphone if you have that connected. And here's the USB port I was talking about. Where is it? There we go. There's your one USB port right there. And this is not a USB. This is some other connection port, probably for checking your diagnostics for the car. Your parking brake. This is how you put the car in park. You pull both paddles at the same time, and it puts the car in neutral. And then you pull up on the P and you're in park. It's not a physical button for park. This is just a pull for your brake. Manual mode, reverse. Let's hit that and see what the backup camera shows up in this display here, not on the infotainment, in this display. And it's a pretty good size camera and not the most cutting edge resolution, but you can see what's behind you, directly behind you. Again, nothing over there. And let's go take it out of reverse. And then I already showed you the drive modes over here. You press these buttons to go between them. It's not like a dial or anything like that. You just have to press the buttons. Up here you've got your climate control, single zone. What do you expect? It's basically a track car without a roof. And then up here you have some other toggles. Love the toggles. Very much like a fighter jet. This is your hydraulic nose lift. So you don't want to forget this because they're very expensive things that you can scrape if you forget it. But it's very quick, the hydraulic lift. So right now it's already raised, but let's put it down and you can see, hopefully. Hard to see, but it's already lifted. Like that took 2 seconds after I clicked it to raise. Not bad. Your stability control, you can click that once off. And then if you hold it, it goes back on. Or press it again, it goes back on. And the hazards, this is a blank switch. Add on NOS, maybe? I don't know, whatever you want to do. Your start-stop system, you can turn it off. And then your passenger side window. Then over here on the dashboard, we've got Lamborghini imprinted into the passenger side of the cockpit. Super cool, very good feeling leather here. And the Lamborghini in black chrome looks awesome. See more of that carbon fiber on the door. The gloss is so cool to look at. And how about storage in this car? You're probably not seeing much of it because there really isn't any. You've got this little slot here where you can fit your insurance information and registration paperwork. Can't even fit the key in there. Speaking of the key, let me grab that for you. Oh, and speaking of that, what's that? It's a fire extinguisher, reminding you that this is a track car. That is an option. You can option on the fire extinguisher. Hopefully you don't need that for daily driving, but if you're going to track it, I would get the fire extinguisher. And then here is your key. And it should look very familiar if you've ever driven an Audi, because it's an Audi key with a Lamborghini on the back and a little Raging Bull crest. Audi key. I mean, it still looks cool and it feels hefty, especially with this extra bit of metal over here, but it's an Audi key. The car makes up for the key, let's put it that way. Back to the storage question. If you wanted to store something in this car, you have just two options. you have this cup holder back over my right shoulder. Or when we slide the seat forward, we have another cup holder back here. And what is that? Is that my large water bottle? Did it fit in a track-focused supercar? I don't believe it. But there is your large water bottle test, ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely not going to fit in this cup holder, but it does fit. Not in this netting here. I don't think so. It might fit in there, actually. A large water bottle could fit in there, but your passenger seat couldn't go all the way back. So if you want your seat to go all the way back, you can fit it in this cubby back here. It passes the large water bottle test of all the vehicles. I would not expect this, but that's incredible. And there is one just like it on my driver's seat as well. There's a cubby back here, if you can see it. Wow. I'm in shock. And then last but not least, in the Lamborghini, of course, you're going to need to get out at some point. So you press this button here, and then you lift up this tab, and then the door doesn't need much more than a nudge to raise. And you're out. And getting out of the car, well, it's not that easy either. So you got to lift your leg is going to be raised by the bump in the seat on the bolster, and then you just got to ease your foot out. But then you're out of the car. And that's the interior of the Aventador SVJ Roadster. The front trunk, well, it's a thing. And now it's time to drive this bad boy. So let's hop back in, rev it up, and get going.
I promise that won't be the whole review, but it is going to be a lot of it. A lot of this. Because that is this car. Let's be honest. This car is the naturally aspirated V12 right behind my head. 6.5 liters, making 759 horsepower and 537 pound-feet of torque. I do have to yell, because there's a lot of wind. I can't even just press a button and stow the top, as we found out. 2.9 seconds to 60, lightning fast, and a top speed of 217 miles an hour. I fully believe it when I do things like this. I mean, come on. You would too, right? I did promise that wouldn't be this whole review. So I'll tell you other things, like the fact that naturally aspirated V12s are the best. They are so the best. They're smooth, they're powerful, and they make incredible noises, especially when they're Lamborghini tuned. That the next Lamborghini may not be an NA V12, the next Halo Lamborghini may not be an NA V12, makes me a little sad. It might be though. They might pull it out with electrification and finding ways to make the fuel economy reasonable, because 11 combined just isn't reasonable. But if they don't and they have to go to forced induction, then it's going to end up something like the TBS with the 5.2 liter twin turbo V12, which is still awesome, but it's not the character of the NA V12. That's what it isn't. So that will make me a little sad. But as a swan song, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. And every time every time I hear that exhaust, it makes me feel things all over my body. I'm not going to go any more detail than that. It also sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, oh my God, it downshifts. Okay, I hate this thing in automatic mode, by the way, when you put your floor down. I have to put it in manual mode every time, or go to Corsa, because if you go to the Corsa drive mode, it will automatically switch to manual. But I hate it just in its automatic mode. The single clutch automated manual in this, as we will find out, doesn't like being driven lightly. You have to like drive it in anger. All that to say, doesn't it sound like that? Doesn't that sound like Star Wars nerd? Doesn't it sound like an X-Wing fighting at shooting at a TIE fighter? It sounds like the laser blast. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. I want that all the time, and so this is what I do all the time. Except I go through gas. Oh my gosh, you go through gas so fast in this car, and you just don't care. You just don't care. And an 8,500 RPM red line is so good. It's so good, because every time you're like, I should be shifting now, but you don't have to. You can just keep pushing it. Keep going. Oh my gosh, this car is so good. It's so good. And it makes me sad that this kind of formula is going to change, but I can just appreciate what we have right now. The swan song for the Aventador is a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song. And here in California sun, with the top down, I fully get why they made a convertible version of a balls-to-the-wall track car. I get it, because you want the very best. This is the ultimate Aventador. There's nothing higher. For Lamborghini right now, there is nothing higher than this. There's nothing more expensive. This is, $573,000. The one I'm testing, $662,000. There's nothing higher. 90 grand in options? I mean, come on. There's nothing better than this with a Raging Bull on the logo. And so you get why they did it. And this honestly isn't uncomfortable. I'm like kind of just cruising. I could, if I wanted to, take it out of manual mode or at least shift into 7th gear. And now the car is kind of quiet. It's crazy. I'm just cruising along. This is comfortable. And the seat, yeah, it's a fixed carbon fiber bucket, but it's not bad. It's just the visibility sucks. I can't see anything apart from here, and only if I do this. If I want to see anything else, it's a whole lot of this, which you just look goofy, but whatever. People won't understand because they haven't driven a supercar like this. Oh man, I'm so giddy overwhelmed. The kid in me is out full on, and he's squealing at the top of his lungs. They're driving a Lamborghini Aventador. This is poster car stuff, guys. This is what I got into this career for. It's to drive cars like this on days like this and to share it with people. It's so good. But okay, let's talk about how it handles, because it's pretty darn good in a corner. I mean, it's not pretty darn good, it's phenomenal. 4-wheel steering, all-wheel drive, the ALA system pushing you, the steering is so dialed, it just handles so incredibly well that you believe that this car is the fastest around a Nürburgring, around the Nürburgring. You believe it, because it handles so incredibly well. It's just so locked in to you as a driver. You just position the wheel just slightly and it goes exactly where you want it to go. And the grip levels are astonishing. You're like, I need to let up on the throttle, but no, you can just push further and further and further into that throttle, and it's just gonna grip for you. It just will. And paddles on the steering wheel are so so good. I mean, paddles on the shift column are so good. Big paddles on the column. That stuff clashing around in my apartment. I mean, holy cow. And I'm not pushing it. I could go harder. This is just bonkers, guys. It's just mental how well this thing holds ground in a corner. It is so flat, you just don't have to lift. I mean, you can do throttle lift off, and so it'll rotate even more, but that ALA system is so smart, and it just knows what to do. Then you launch it. Is a cacophony of joy. It is just a box of joy. Lamborghini's dishing it out. It's the medicine. If you wanted more out of this review than just me doing this, then I'm sorry. But I'm having trouble containing the excitement. If you have the money, my goodness, go buy one of these. If you can, there are only 800 being produced. If you can't go buy one, by all means, go do it. This thing is mental. I love this car. It's so fun. What else is there to talk about? Okay, so it has kind of. Okay, I gotta stop because I can't do two things at once. I gotta focus on the car and then focus on talking to you. Okay, so it has the McLaren 765 LT. That's coming up for $375,000. So less than this. It'll make about the same power, like 754 horsepower. So very similar power to this, 759. And the 0 to 60 will be similar, maybe a tenth or two faster than this. But that's not a Roadster. And it won't look like this. It's gonna look good, like McLarens look good, but it won't look like this. And it's just not gonna have the theater. It won't have the theater because it's a twin turbo V8. It's not an NA V12. I mean, come on. Come on. How do you not love that? The 765 LT would be a direct rival, but really apart from that, there isn't a rival to this car. There's not a Roadster that does what this does with an NA V12 engine that looks like this looks. It just doesn't exist. So if you want the ultimate in excitement, you're gonna go buy this. This is more exciting than a Bugatti Chiron. It's not as fast, but it's more exciting. And what is a supercar if not to give you excitement? Like, what's the point? So this absolutely should be your poster car, and it's absolutely the car I'm going to put up here as if I ever make unheard of amounts of money, I will go buy. If you can find one. They'll be probably locked up in garages by then, hopefully not. Oh my gosh. But the force of acceleration, the sound, the way you just get all these butterflies in your stomach, I'm losing it, clearly. And the way it goes around a corner, and the way it looks. Okay, now I've saved like the critiques for last. So I slightly mentioned it before. Okay, I talked about the infotainment. The tech is outdated, whatever. The car is going out of production. It was introduced in 2011. What do you want? But the 7-speed single clutch automated manual gearbox, when you're not on it, is painful. It's painful in Strada mode, so I'm gonna put it in Strada. And when you go from a light, and you're just cruising up to speed, each shift is like a lurch. Lurches you with each gear change. And it's so uncomfortable that you never want to be driving in Strada. The car is basically demanding that you tear off the doors with your acceleration at all times because it doesn't want to do slow. It doesn't like being slow. So it's like shifted me to 7th gear right now and I'm doing 50 miles an hour. That's unnecessary. Why are you trying to save fuel, Lamborghini? Who are you kidding? Everyone knows that you are just gobbling up gasoline. Who are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? So, okay, if I was to then, let's see, I'm going to pull off here because there's actually a safe pull off. I'm going to pull off here, and then I'm going to go from a low speed and accelerate. And you're just going to see the transmission doing its thing. That's not me overemphasizing. That is the car actually lurching forward to slowly shunk into the next gear. That's bad. But it's not a daily driver. I don't know, like I'm already immediately defending the car. It's not a daily driver. This car is for stupid fast acceleration runs on your weekends, having fun, looking like a BA. Just, it's lime green. It's highlighter green. What more do you want? This car isn't about being nice to you. It's not going to be nice to you, except it's probably going to get very attractive women in the car next to you. That's it being nice to you. And it's not going to make you look cool getting out of it.